There is a strange kind of tiredness that does not come from working too hard. It comes from knowing you are capable of more, yet watching another day pass without doing what matters. You wake up with intentions. You tell yourself you will begin after breakfast, after work, after the weekend, after life becomes less complicated. Somehow, tomorrow keeps receiving the life that today was supposed to build. Maybe you call it laziness. But what if that word is hiding a deeper problem? What if you are not simply avoiding work? What if you are avoiding the discomfort of becoming responsible for your own potential? The moment you begin, excuses become harder to believe. You have to face your habits, your priorities, your distractions, and the distance between who you are and who you know you could become. Think about the last thing you kept postponing. A skill you wanted to learn, a body you wanted to strengthen, a project you wanted to start, a decision you knew you needed to make. How long has it been waiting for you? The frightening part is not losing one afternoon. It is allowing small delays to become a way of life. Your future is being shaped quietly, often when nothing dramatic seems to be happening. So before you try to force yourself into action, pause and look honestly at what has been keeping you still. Because the real enemy may not be laziness at all. The pattern can change. First, see it. Most people do not wake up one morning and decide to waste their lives. Stagnation usually arrives quietly. It begins with a postponed task, an easy distraction, a promise to start tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes another month. The problem is that avoidance often feels harmless in the moment. You avoid the difficult conversation, and you feel relief. You skip the workout and you feel comfortable. You postpone learning and you remain safely inside what you already know. The immediate reward is real. The cost simply arrives later. This is why calling yourself lazy can be too simple. Sometimes what looks like laziness is fear. Sometimes it is uncertainty. Sometimes you have disappointed yourself so often that beginning again feels emotionally expensive. And sometimes your goal is so vague that your mind has no compelling reason to move toward it. Imagine someone who has spent years saying, "I need to change." They compare themselves with people who seem further ahead. They see another person's career, health, confidence, or achievements and quietly decide they have already fallen too far behind. Instead of using comparison as information, they use it as evidence against themselves. The result is paralysis. Then there is comfort. Comfort is not the villain. You need rest and recovery. But comfort becomes dangerous when it becomes your default response to every difficult thing. If every uncomfortable task is postponed, your mind learns a lesson. Discomfort means escape. Eventually, you may not consciously choose avoidance. Your habits choose it for you. And there is another cost. When you repeatedly promise yourself that you will act and repeatedly do not, you weaken your trust in your own word. The damage is subtle. You begin to think, "I know what I should do, but I never follow through." That belief makes the next attempt harder. Ask yourself honestly, what discomfort are you escaping by staying where you are? What would you have to face if you stopped making excuses? And what might your life look like if the same patterns continued for another 5 years? These questions are uncomfortable because they return responsibility to you. But responsibility is not punishment. It is the doorway back to influence. Once you can see the pattern without hiding from it, you can begin changing it. Yet seeing the problem is only the beginning. You need philosophy to guide your choices. Responsibility is often misunderstood. It does not mean everything that happened to you was your fault. Life contains circumstances you did not choose, losses you could not prevent, and limitations you may not be able to remove. Responsibility means something more useful. Whatever your circumstances are, you still have a role in deciding what you do next. That distinction can change the direction of a life. You cannot rewrite yesterday. You cannot control another person's character. You cannot command the economy, other people's opinions, or every unexpected event. But you can ask what is within your influence. You can choose what you learn, what you practice, what you tolerate, what you prioritize, and how you respond. This is where personal philosophy matters. Your philosophy is not merely a collection of ideas you discuss. It is revealed by the decisions you repeat. If you believe comfort should always come before effort, you will naturally avoid difficult work. If you believe every worthwhile ability requires practice, difficulty becomes less threatening. If you believe failure can provide information, a setback does not have to become a verdict on your identity. This is one of the deeper themes associated with Jim Rohn. Personal development begins with working on the person making the decisions, not simply chasing better circumstances. Consider two people facing the same disappointment. One says, "Nothing ever works for me." The other asks, "What can I learn from this and what can I control now?" Neither has been promised an easier life. The difference is the philosophy through which they interpret the experience. And then comes discipline. Motivation is useful, but it is unreliable. It rises when the goal feels exciting and falls when the work becomes repetitive. Discipline is quieter. It says, "This matters, even when I do not feel like doing it." Discipline is not a war against yourself. It is an agreement with your future. You decide that a meaningful priority deserves protection from every passing mood. You read when entertainment is easier. You practice when nobody is applauding. You finish an important task before giving yourself the comfort you wanted first. Over time, something changes. The decision becomes less dramatic. What once required a debate becomes a standard. This is why personal development is deeper than productivity. You are not simply trying to complete more tasks. You are developing judgment, patience, competence, self-respect, and the ability to direct your attention. Ask yourself, what philosophy are your current habits revealing? What do your repeated choices suggest you believe about effort, time, failure, and your own potential? What is perhaps the most important question is this. Are you trying to create a different life while continuing to practice the same patterns that created your current one? The answer does not require shame, it requires honesty. Then your philosophy can become deliberate action, and your habits can follow that direction. A single disciplined action rarely looks important while you are doing it. Reading a few pages does not transform your mind overnight. One workout does not create a stronger body. One focused hour does not rebuild a career. One difficult decision does not suddenly give you a new life. But life is rarely changed by isolated actions. It is changed by what those actions become when repeated. Think of a path through a field. One person crossing the grass leaves almost no visible mark. But if they take the same route every day, eventually a path appears. Your habits work in a similar way. Repeated choices make certain behaviors easier to repeat. What once required effort can become familiar. What once felt uncomfortable can become normal. This is why small actions matter. Not because every small action guarantees a particular result, but because repeated action changes your relationship with effort. You begin to see yourself as someone who can start, then someone who can continue, then someone who can finish. That is the compound effect at the level of character. There is also delayed gratification. Much of modern life is built around immediate reward. You can entertain yourself within seconds, distract yourself without effort, and escape boredom whenever it appears. Growth often asks for the opposite. It asks you to tolerate an uncomfortable present in exchange for a more capable future. You study before you feel prepared. You save before you spend. You exercise before you feel energetic. You work on something meaningful before you know whether anyone will notice. The reward may be invisible for a long time. That is where discipline becomes valuable. It helps you remain faithful to something that has not yet produced visible evidence. But discipline does not exist in isolation. Your environment matters. If your phone is always within reach, distraction requires almost no effort. If your evenings are surrounded by people who mock ambition or self-control, maintaining a higher standard can become exhausting. If your environment constantly feeds comparison and noise, quiet reflection becomes difficult. You do not have to reject everyone around you, but you can become intentional about what enters your mind. Choose books that challenge your thinking. Spend time with people who respect growth. Create spaces that make important behaviors easier. Remove some friction between intention and action. And do not underestimate solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. It is space where you can hear your own thoughts without constantly borrowing the world's opinions. In a quiet room without a screen demanding your attention, you may finally ask questions you have been avoiding. What do I actually want? What am I doing because it matters to me? And what am I doing because I want approval? Where is my time going? What am I tolerating that I could change? These questions can be uncomfortable, but clarity often begins there. Then comes the idea of standards. A standard is different from a temporary burst of enthusiasm. Let those standards become quietly yours. There comes a point when discipline stops being something you are trying to force and becomes something you are learning to embody. The change is subtle. You stop asking, how can I make myself do this, and begin asking, what would a person who respects their future do now? That is an identity question. You can build a schedule, download an app, write a list of goals, and still remain the same person underneath it all. Lasting change asks for something deeper, a new relationship with your own word. Think about what happens when you repeatedly promise yourself something and then break that promise. Nobody else may know. There may be no consequence that day. But privately, you notice. A small doubt appears. You begin expecting yourself to quit. Now reverse the process. You make one modest promise and keep it. Then another. You read when you said you would. You finish the task you wanted to escape. You take the walk. You turn off the distraction. These actions may look ordinary to everyone else, but they become evidence in your own mind. You are teaching yourself, I can trust me. Confidence grows differently when it comes from evidence rather than imagination. This does not mean you become perfect. A disciplined person still has tired mornings, difficult seasons, mistakes, and days when motivation disappears. The difference is that one bad day no longer becomes an excuse to abandon the entire direction. You learn to return. That distinction matters. If you believe discipline means never failing, failure will destroy your discipline. If you understand discipline as returning to what matters, failure becomes part of the training. And this is where your future self enters the conversation. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Not a fantasy version with a perfect life, but the ordinary result of your repeated choices. What would that person look like? What would they know? What would they regret? What habits would they wish you had started earlier? Now imagine another version of yourself created by the same excuses, the same distractions, and the same postponements. Nothing dramatic has to go wrong. The danger is that life can simply remain familiar. Which future are your habits quietly voting for? Your identity is not a sentence written once. It is shaped through repeated evidence. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you strengthen one kind of person. Every time you surrender automatically to avoidance, you strengthen another. So do not obsess over becoming extraordinary tomorrow. Become slightly more trustworthy today. Keep one promise, then keep another. Eventually, discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about respecting the person you are becoming. Your standards begin to feel like expressions of who you are, not rules imposed from outside. That is the quiet beginning of personal identity change, built through repetition over time. And once you understand that, the next question becomes practical. How do you turn this new identity into actions that can survive an ordinary, imperfect day? You do not need to redesign your entire life tonight. In fact, trying to change everything at once can become another sophisticated form of procrastination. You make an enormous plan, feel inspired for 2 days, become overwhelmed, and eventually return to the old routine. Begin small. Choose an area where your life needs attention. It might be your health, career, finances, learning, relationships, or the way you use your time. Do not choose 10 battles. Choose one direction. Then define the smallest action that moves you forward. If you want to read, begin with a few pages. If you want to exercise, begin with a short session. If you need to build a skill, give it a focused block of time. If your life feels scattered, write tomorrow's 3 priorities before you sleep. The purpose is not to impress yourself. It is to remove the argument that you need perfect conditions before beginning. Give the action a place in your day. When will you do it? Before work? After waking? During a protected evening hour? A decision attached to a specific time requires less negotiation than a vague intention. Then examine friction. If your phone repeatedly steals your attention, move it away while you work. If you want to exercise in the morning, prepare what you need the night before. If you want to study, keep the material ready. Do not ask willpower to fight an unnecessary battle every hour. Next, track evidence. A simple record can show whether you are becoming more consistent. Do not use tracking to punish yourself. Use it as a mirror. And when you miss a day, resist the temptation to turn one mistake into an identity. You missed a day, return the next day. That is discipline too. Once a week, step back and ask what helped, what distracted you, what you avoided, and what needs to change. Your system should become more intelligent as you learn about yourself. Most importantly, protect the environment around your new behavior. Your surroundings should make growth easier, not invite you back into the old pattern. The goal is simple. Create enough structure that important decisions do not depend on your mood every morning. Start with one promise small enough to keep and enough to matter. Because the first action may look insignificant, but repetition gives it weight. And eventually, the person who once waited for motivation begins to discover something more dependable, self-command. The transformation rarely announces itself. There is no morning when you become disciplined forever. More often, you notice small differences. You recover faster after a bad day. You spend less time negotiating with yourself. You protect your priorities. You begin finishing things you once abandoned. The outside world may not notice immediately. You begin to understand that discipline was never about becoming a machine. It was about becoming less controlled by every passing impulse. You can still rest without guilt. You can still enjoy life. You can still change direction when circumstances demand it. The difference is that you are choosing rather than simply reacting. That choice creates self-respect, and self-respect creates momentum. The person from the beginning of this journey is not necessarily more talented now. They have simply stopped giving every temporary feeling the authority to decide their future. One ordinary day becomes another. One small improvement becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes a standard. A standard begins to shape identity. Then slowly, life starts reflecting the person you have been practicing becoming. The change is quiet. And perhaps that is the most important realization. You do not need to wait for a dramatic turning point. Your turning point can be an ordinary decision made with unusual honesty. Today can be that decision. Not because tomorrow is guaranteed to be easy, but because you have finally stopped asking your feelings for permission to grow. Now there is only one final question. What will you do with that understanding? Section 8. Conclusion. You began by asking how to kill laziness. But perhaps the deeper lesson is different. You do not need to destroy every desire for comfort. You need to stop allowing comfort to make your important decisions for you. Your past cannot be edited. The years already spent are gone. But the meaning of those years does not have to be that you were permanently stuck. They can become the point at which you finally understood what your habits were costing you. Think about your future self again. One day, you will live inside the consequences of many ordinary decisions you make now. The books you read, the skills you practice, the hours you protect, and the promises you keep. So choose one thing, not everything. One thing you know you have been avoiding. One action that serves who you want to become. Give it your attention today. Then return to it tomorrow. When you fail, return. When progress feels slow, Remember that character is being built beneath the surface, long before results become visible. You are not merely trying to get somewhere. You are becoming someone. Someone who can be trusted with their own time. Someone who can tolerate discomfort and keep moving with purpose. That person is not waiting somewhere in the future. You build that person through today's choices. So when tomorrow arrives, do not ask, do I feel motivated? Ask something more powerful. What does the person I am becoming need me to do today? Then do that one thing. Your future does not need a perfect version of you. It needs your honest effort. It needs a present version of you, willing to begin, willing to continue, and willing to take responsibility for the direction of your life.